Well, good afternoon, everyone. Have a little update on the severe weather we expect across the area today. Well, first of all, the rains just won't stop here at my house. We've had probably three, maybe four rounds of pretty good rain, so my garden's really happy. This activity this morning has not been severe. It wasn't really expected to be. Sometimes we have to make that distinction because we'll issue these outlooks for certain days, and you always have to say, well, the severe part's really expected later in the day, or maybe in the evening, or maybe even in the overnight hours. In this case, it's expected late this afternoon and early this evening. So this morning's activity, heavy downpours, not severe. So the question becomes, what happens when this activity leaves? A lot of times, morning rain and thunderstorms have a stabilizing effect on the atmosphere. In fact, it does, but what happens immediately afterward is very important. If it clears out quickly and the sun comes out, what you've actually done is probably made it more unstable because you've added a lot of low level moisture because of all the rain, a lot of evaporation. If the sun comes out, really makes a very explosive and potent situation. Sometimes it makes it too potent, and the thunderstorms develop so quickly that they don't form into discrete cells, and that is against, again, tornadoes and severe weather. And if you haven't already caught this from my Facebook page this morning, because of the upper level winds, this is a slightly higher tornado threat than would be expected normally in August or in summer in general. It's not unheard of. It's just I like to point out to people when something kind of out of the ordinary happens, so you don't fall into old patterns of recognition, like saying, we never get tornadoes in August. What are you worried about? So that kind of thing. So if I'm doing this right, I haven't done it in a while. I think you should be seeing the radar loop popping up here. And as you can see, there's still persistent areas of rain coming in from Mount Vernon through Springfield metropolitan area. That'll add another half inch to inch of rain in many areas. And there might not be a need for a flood warning. Maybe there might be a flash flood warning come out if one hasn't already done so. Also, one more disclaimer, I'm recording this at 12:15, and remember, all these loops that I do, all these discussions of severe weather are timestamped, so this wouldn't be probably as useful even 3 or 4 hours from now. So if you're watching at 4 o'clock, it's probably going to work out the way I say, but it is a forecast, so just keep that in mind. So this is the radar loop. This eventually will clear out. We can get a better idea of what's going on, though, if we look at the satellite image. And I think I can grab myself here and put that up there. There we go. So you can see a little bit closer what's going on in our part of the world. You can already see there are holes in the clouds north of Springfield and certainly west and southwest of Springfield. So this is going to lead to, again, probably a rapid destabilization of the atmosphere. One way to make an atmosphere unstable is to heat the bottom, moisten the bottom, or those two in combination, or also cool the middle part of the atmosphere. Those are all factors that contribute to unstable air. So it looks like we're going to accomplish the first two down at the ground. We're going to get the clouds cleared out, and we're going to get higher dew point values because of all the rain that has fallen across southwest Missouri. So there's that. So let's just go ahead and jump right to this is the severe weather outlook. Actually, this is specifically, and I apologize when I record these videos, I don't have my fonts the way they should be. That should actually be labeled a little bit better. But what this is a tornado forecast, not a severe thunderstorm forecast, although they're pretty much in the same area. But what this does is it outlines areas where the higher probability for tornadoes occur. So if you see the brown, that's a 5% chance. The yellow is a 10% chance. What does that mean? 10% chance of a tornado within 25 miles of a point, or a 25-mile circle drawn around a city, for example. There's a 10% chance. That's the highest on there. That's the yellow. That area in the middle there that has the black line around it, that's where the enhanced significant tornado areas. What that means is that the forecasters at the SPC have determined that area there has a higher than normal probability, 10% actually, of an EF 3, 4, or 5, the highest of the three. It goes from 0 to 5. Will occur. So not only is it a tornado threat, which is unusual for this time of year, but there's also a slight risk of it being a more significant tornado than maybe just a brief touchdown. So if that is concerning all of you, yes, but let me add some caveats to all this, and just to make sure that you understand. In the summer, we get a lot of convection. We get a lot of thunderstorms, in other words, and they can lay down a whole complex area of boundaries, and they can pop up in different areas, and they can basically make so that the air does not recover and become as unstable in certain areas. So this is really going to take careful eye on all of that being placed on this situation later this afternoon and earlier this evening. So that area is probably pretty much spot on, but whether actual significant tornadoes occur is going to depend, I think, largely on the outflow boundaries. and whether they can latch onto those, and whether we can get what are called discrete cells that happen ahead of a cool front that's approaching tonight. So if you want, and I probably have told you this before, when you're looking at radar and you see thunderstorms that are kind of lone, that doesn't necessarily mean they're bad, but watch those a little more carefully because they're forming out in possibly a favorable area for severe storms. Let's take a look at the model data because I wanted to do that. That's one of the reasons why I waited as long as I did. So this is pivotal weather, good site. And I think I can just call it up here. And this is basically the idea that it looks and tries to figure out where convection or thunderstorms will be. This is supposed to be valid at 2 o'clock, so about an hour and a half from now from this recording. So those thunderstorms have cleared out of the area. I'm just going to advance it hour by hour here. You can kind of see, actually I'm going to try to scroll that up a little bit so you can see more of Arkansas. There we go. Now notice there's a discrete cell already in Christian County. You see that one? South of the Lapel-Springfield. Will that be severe? It could be, but more likely it's one of those things I just said where it pops up so quickly that it actually may have an effect to slow down the destabilization, which is a good thing if you don't want severe weather. So these kind of little things are going to pop up. Here it is again, a couple of discrete cells, one north of Lebanon, and this is valid at 4 o'clock, and then we can go to 5 o'clock. Now this is, I think, what we really need to watch. This line of storms right here, again, it scrolls out of the picture every single time I update the hour. There we go. This right here is what I would be concerned about. Individual discrete cells within this forming line of storms. This again is at 6 p.m. And then we're going to go to 7 and go down. I'm going to have to move it again. There we go, 7 o'clock. Notice we still have kind of discrete cells. See how these are kind of like it's a line, but there are individual storms where you have that purple-white area. Probably some pretty large hail in these as well. Some of these discrete storms in Arkansas need to be watched. Again, this is 7 o'clock. Here's 8 o'clock. It all kind of sags south. So by 8, Springfield at least is forecast to be somewhat in the clear. Again, we'll watch this. Micro boundaries are very important in this scenario, but any of these storms could potentially be trouble. I wanted to show you updraft helicity. Now, this is not going to mean anything to most people, but let me just give you the short version of this. Where you see these tracks is where where a column of rotating air is most likely within thunderstorms. So in other words, it finds supercells, and in particular, it finds rotating supercells. Again, it's a model, not an actuality. But you can kind of see where they're tracking there, and you can already see a couple down to the south of Springfield, some starting over Springfield, some southeast of us, south of us, and those are the ones I'd be watching into the evening hours. Again, this particular map is valid at 8 o'clock tonight, so I'm 100% positive that a tornado watch is going to be issued for southern Missouri and northern Arkansas. I'd be very surprised if that didn't happen this afternoon, so just keep an eye on that. So what about the actual parameters? We can take a look at that. Now this is... I'm going to back this back up to about, let's say we're going back to 4 o'clock. So what you're looking at here, where if it looks worse, like it's on fire, it's worse. So this is unstable air, basically. We're talking about a value called CAPE, which if you watch my severe updates before, it's just a measure of how unstable the atmosphere is. So you can see a large area of southwest Missouri is going to be destabilizing rapidly at 4 o'clock. These little funny graphs are what are called hodographs, and really, they're a way of taking a look at the wind profile in the atmosphere. So if you click on one, I'm going to go an hour, I'm going to go to, let's say, this one right here. This is ahead of that squall line, which you can see it already has a stabilizing effect. See how the thunderstorms do that? This white area here is not as unstable because there are thunderstorms right there. But let me just pick a point out ahead of this, like this one, for instance, and take a look at the hodograph. You notice that, first of all, see this TOR right here? This is the algorithm saying, yeah, this is a sort of a tornadic profile, basically. So the CAPE is high. It's over 3,000. That's this value right here in red. And the green is minus 35. You don't, if you want thunderstorms to break out, you want a little bit of cap, but not much. So that is actually a number that's very concerning because it's not going to take much to push it over that. But until it gets to that point, the instability is going to build below that capping layer. So that's a big thing. And this is the longer this is a hodograph, the longer this line is from here to here, the better the wind shear in the atmosphere is. So that's, again, another quick little lesson in meteorology. All that said and done, the atmosphere ahead of this developing squall line will be certainly supportive of large hail, damaging winds, and probably a few tornadoes, especially in the more active or discrete or lone supercells. Anyway, I said a lot. That's the update. I'll stop here because I don't want to get too long or make it so long that it becomes invalid. So, anyway, keep an eye to the sky. Watch out for the watches and warnings. If another update is necessary, I will bring you one later on today.